Story 1. My boyfriend to 7 and I to 4 have been together for 3 years. We don't live together, but we're close enough to spend a lot of time together. However, it is very rare that we spend a whole day together. When we have, it's been on a weekday, and our schedules happen to coincide, i.e. no work and no classes. We have never spent a day together at the weekend. He works as a research assistant, while he studies for his doctorate, every single weekend for the 3 years we've been together. He insists he has work to do. I realize now how stupid I've been, but stupidly I trusted him. I trusted him to have work every weekend for 3 years. That was until today. I've been studying for finals and it's the hardest it's ever been. So I've been longing for some time with him, just one day, where we could relax together, of course. He says he can't because he's working and I keep my mouth shut. So today I'm getting antsy anyway, hoping we could at least spend the evening together. I end up texting him to ask when he thinks he'll be back and we can spend the night together. I've done this many times before and he always replies pretty quickly. This time I wait a while. After 2 hours I decide to text a friend of his who's also a research assistant with him. It turns out that they don't have any work today. In fact, he informs me in the same text that they rarely ever have work at weekends. Rarely ever. My heart pounded as I read the text from my friend's colleague. The words rarely ever echoed in my head, confirming my worst fears. For 3 years, had blindly accepted his excuses, believing his every word about his demanding research work. But now the truth was laid bare, shattering the illusion of our relationship. I confronted him immediately and demanded an explanation. At first he tried to deny everything, but when I confronted him with the evidence from his colleague, he fell silent. The weight of his deception crushed him, shattering the fragile foundation of our trust. Tears streamed down my face as he confessed his infidelity. He admitted to spending his weekends with another woman, someone he had met at a conference. He had been seeing her for months, hiding his betrayal behind the veil of his supposed research commitments. His words were like daggers piercing my heart, each one twisting and tearing at my emotions. The love I had cherished so deeply was nothing but a cruel lie, a facade he had skillfully maintained for 3 years. I couldn't comprehend the depth of his betrayal. How could he have spent so much time with me, whispering sweet nothings, sharing intimate moments, while carrying on a secret affair? The thought of him holding another woman's hand, sharing laughter and stolen kisses, made me physically ill. At that moment I realized that the man I loved had never really existed. He was a phantom, a mirage that had blinded me to the truth. The person I thought I knew was nothing more than a master manipulator, a skilled deceiver. The pain was unbearable, a searing agony that threatened to consume me. I felt like a shattered piece of glass, irrevocably broken and beyond repair. The future I had envisioned, a life filled with love, shared dreams and a growing family, crumbled before my eyes. I ended our relationship that night, unable to bear the weight of his betrayal. The love I had once felt for him had turned to ashes, replaced by a bitter brew of hurt, anger and disgust. As I left, I vowed never to be blinded by love again. I would learn to trust my instincts, to recognize the signs of deception, and never again settle for anything less than the truth.
First comment.
There are so many examples of men leading double lives, where they have two families. Guess what reason they use to excuse it, aka cover it up? Work. That's the cover up basically every single time. I know it sounds absolutely insane, bonkers, and impossible. That's because to us sane, decent people, it is. But the people capable of lying and deceiving like this aren't like us, and they take advantage of the knowledge that we can't even fathom such a thing. It helps them get away with their lie and keep it going. Think about it. Really, the only plausible explanation that he's away for work literally every single weekend for 3 years is because he's leading a double life. Only a family life with another woman and kids makes sense for such a long-term, habitual pattern. You've tolerated a relationship for years, where you don't even spend an entire day together. To him, you're the perfect side piece since you are willing to tolerate that for so long, without questioning it or putting your foot down.
Second comment.
You're definitely the other woman. I saw you question how his real relationship would function if he didn't see her, but only on the weekends, and the answer is it's a long-term relationship. with a foundation, and it's only like that while he's in school. Once school is done, he will go home to his actual wife and family. Why I know this? My mom was unknowingly the other woman for many years. Story 2. I cheated on my husband. We've been married for 25 years and I've been a SAH wife and mother all that time. We have 2 children, 10 and 8 meters. I'm 44 and my husband is 52. I'm dependent on him in every way and he abuses it. I'm used to taking condom wrappers out of his pockets before doing the laundry, or his blatant lies about overtime and business trips. I always thought I had my children, and when they were grown up, I could divorce him and move back to my home country or somewhere in Europe. So I was relatively happy. A year ago I was diagnosed with breast cancer and had to have a double mastectomy. After the diagnosis, he refused to even touch me. After the mastectomy, he became even more disgusted. I wear a wig all the time because he thinks it is funny to see me bald. I met friend 36 6 months ago at a support group. She's a cancer survivor who recently moved to the area. We became really good friends. With the same interests, it was nice to have a friend. Nice to have someone to talk to who knows what chemo feels. I can not just feel sorry for me. A week ago my Phil died, and my husband took the kids. And the flight last Tuesday, we had a big fight because I couldn't go with them. He was angry with me, but I had a chemo treatment on Wednesday. I had a treatment every 3 weeks. Fran offered to take me to and from the hospital, and she insisted that she'd help me afterwards and refused to leave. It was the first time anyone had helped me. We usually have a nanny to look after the children while I'm upstairs alone suffering and puking. And the first few hours after are hell. She helped me get dressed after the accident, held the bucket, tucked me in. She even took off my wig when I was sweating and told me I was beautiful without it. She stayed the night and cooked for me the next day. She always praised me and reassured me. She let me cry on her shoulder. In the evening she offered me a joint to satisfy my appetite. We had so much fun, laughing a lot, watching a funny film and eating junk food. I made a joke about my expense being cut up and she almost scolded me to stop humiliating myself. One thing led to another and we made out in the living room and I fell asleep on top of her. Actually, she was the one who stopped me from doing more. Because I was under the influence. On Friday she had to go back to her office. And for the first few hours she was extremely happy. I felt beautiful, desirable. But the adrenaline wore off and now I can't even look in the mirror. I can't stop hating myself. I've clung to my children on Sunday. I've skipped the group meeting and I'm avoiding Fran. I hate myself so much.
First comment.
I used to think the same way as well, until I realized relationships aren't as black and white as I thought. I learned this with my parents' marriage. My dad's a lying cheater, but my mom chooses to stay with him out of convenience. What I mean by that is that she has grown accustomed to being a stay-at-home wife that is well maintained. My dad is accustomed to having a clean home with a nice warm meal at the table. There's a weird, mutual yet unsaid agreement that they're choosing to ignore what he's doing, because they're too used to each other. Now, do I agree with the rationale? Hell no, but frankly, it's not my marriage to give an opinion on, and if they decided that works for them, then it's none of my business no matter how much it bothers me.
Second comment.
There are times cheating isn't some great evil act. Sometimes it's an act born from desperation, abuse and loneliness, ideally. You should have broken up before you acted, but you owe him no loyalty when he's been disloyal to you. Now, you should consider divorcing your husband sooner instead of waiting until the kids are older. And then once you're divorced, then pursue something with Fran.